The knife slipped from my hand, clattering against the tile floor like a gunshot in the dead of night. As Logan's rough palm clamped over my mouth, his breath hot against my ear. "Don't scream, Alex. It's us." Mason's eyes, wild and whiskey-glazed, locked onto mine from across the counter, his fingers already tugging at my belt buckle, whispering, "We've waited too long for this. You have no idea." In that heartbeat, the world I knew shattered, my straight-laced brothers pulling me into a storm of flesh and secrets that would drown us all. I grew up in the sprawling Dust Bowl of West Texas, where the horizon stretched flat and unforgiving, and men like my father built their lives on oil rigs and Bible verses. Our house was a squat ranch-style brick box on the edge of Lubbock, the kind with a chain-link fence that rattled in the prairie wind and a kitchen that smelled eternally of fried okra and regret. Logan was the oldest, 28 to my 24, built like a linebacker with shoulders that could shoulder the weight of the world, or at least Dad's expectations. He worked the rigs, came home with grease under his nails and a six-pack dangling from one hand, always the golden boy who fixed the truck before breakfast and quoted psalms at the dinner table. Mason, 2 years my junior, was the wild card, lean and wiry, with a tattoo of a lone star curling up his forearm that he'd gotten in a drunken dare during his rodeo phase. He bounced between odd jobs, mechanic 1 month, bouncer the next, always chasing the next adrenaline hit to outrun whatever demons Dad had drilled into us. We were the Harlan boys, unbreakable, or so the town whispered. Dad died when I was 16, heart attack on the derrick, they said, but we knew it was the bottle, and Mom followed a year later, cancer eating her from the inside out like it had eaten her hope. Left us with the house, a stack of bills, and a silence that echoed louder than any sermon. Logan stepped up, paid the mortgage with rig money, kept the lights on. Mason partied it away, but he was there when fists needed throwing. Me, I buried myself in books at the community college, dreaming of Austin or Dallas, anywhere with neon lights and men who didn't flinch at a sideways glance. I was the quiet one, the sensitive Harlan, as Aunt Rita called it, with my sketch pads full of faces, men's faces, mostly that I'd hide under the mattress like contraband. No one knew I was gay. Not really. I'd fumbled through a few hookups in the college bathroom stalls, quick and guilty, always scanning for familiar trucks in the parking lot. Logan and Mason ribbed me about girls. "When you gonna bring home a filly, Alex?" And I'd laugh it off, blame the books. But late at night, when the house creaked like an old man's bones, I'd lie awake listening to Logan's snores through the thin walls, wondering what it would be like if he knew. If they both knew. Stupid thoughts, born of loneliness and too much chores. Brothers don't look at brothers that way. Straight brothers, especially. It started unraveling the summer I turned 24, heat wave baking the asphalt into black glass, cicadas screaming like banshees. I dropped out of community college, couldn't hack the accounting degree Logan pushed on me, and landed a gig at the local feed store, stacking sacks of grain that left my hands raw and my mind numb. Mason was crashing back home after getting fired from the bar for punching a customer who called him a pretty boy faggot. The irony burned, but he laughed it off over lukewarm beers on the porch, his knee brushing mine accidental-like. Logan was home on rotation, 3 weeks on, 1 off, filling the fridge with steaks and preaching about man shit, hunting trips, football Sundays, anything to keep the Harlan name standing tall. That night, the hook that snagged us all, was July 4th. Town fireworks popped like distant artillery, red, white, and blue sparks painting the sky over the arroyo. We'd grilled burgers in the backyard. Mason manning the tongs with a bud in hand. Logan cracking open narratives about the old days. Dad teaching us to shoot. Mom's pecan pie that could cure what ails ya. I nursed a single beer, sketching the fireflies in my notebook. Their glow faint against the bonfire we'd lit in a rusted barrel. The air hummed with nostalgia, thick as the smoke, and for a moment, felt like we were kids again, before the world carved us into men we barely recognized. Remember that time Dad caught us skinny dippin' in the stock tank? Mason slurred, sprawling back on the grass, his shirt riding up to show the V of his hips. Logan chuckled, deep and rumbling, clapping me on the shoulder hard enough to jolt my pencil. Yeah, and Alex here cried like a baby, till Dad promised not to whoop us. I flushed, shoving him off. I was 8, asshole. And I didn't cry. I was allergic to the mud. Lies. All of it. But it was our language. Rough edges hiding the soft spots. As the embers died, we stumbled inside, the screen door banging shut behind us. Mason raided the fridge, tossing long necks like grenades. Logan flipped on the old radio, George Strait crooning about heartache in the neon glow. I leaned against the counter, watching them, Logan's forearms flexing as he twisted the cap off a bottle, Mason's laugh lines crinkling when he mimicked Dad's drawl. Something shifted then, a current under the surface, like the air before a twister. Mason's gaze lingered on me a beat too long, Logan's hand brushing my lower back as he squeezed past to the sink. You good, little bro, Logan murmured. Close enough I smelled the charcoal on his skin. I nodded, throat dry, blaming the heat. We ended up at the kitchen table, cards scattered like fallen leaves. Poker, no stakes but pride. Mason bluffed his way through a full house. Logan called him on every tell, and I folded early, too distracted by the way their thighs pressed against mine under the table. The whiskey came out, Dad's old stash, peaty and forbidden, and shots turned to stories, the kind that peel back layers. Mason confessed to a bar fight over a guy who looked at him funny. Logan admitted the rig loneliness, bunk beds and bad dreams. Miss you too, something fierce out there, he said, voice gravelly, eyes on his glass. I don't know who moved first. Maybe it was Mason, leaning across to refill my shot, his fingers grazing my wrist. Electric. Or Logan, his boot nudging mine under the table. Deliberate. The room spun lazy, alcohol blurring the lines we'd drawn in blood and sweat. You ever wonder? Mason started, trailing off, his face inches from mine. Wonder what? I thought, heart hammering. Logan's hand found my knee, heavy, anchoring. What if we ain't so different? Alex, what if? The knife was in my hand because I'd been chopping limes for the next round. Mindless task to steady my nerves. It fell when Logan's palm covered my mouth, his body pinning me gently against the counter. Not force but inevitability. Mason rounded the island, eyes dark with something feral and tender, fingers working my belt free. We've seen you, little bro, Mason whispered, voice breaking. The way you look at us. The sketches. We ain't blind. Logan's breath hitched against my neck. And we. Shit, Alex, we feel it too. Been fightin' it since we were kids. The world tilted. My straight brothers, Logan with his girlfriends from church, Mason with his buckle bunnies, confessing in the fluorescent hum of our childhood kitchen. Their hands, calloused and sure, mapping skin I'd hidden for years. It wasn't gentle, not at first. It was hunger unleashed, clothes shedding like old skins, bodies colliding on the cool granite counter where Mom used to roll dough. Logan's mouth claimed mine, tasting of whiskey and want, while Mason's lips trailed fire down my chest. Surprised? God? Yes. Shocked into silence, into surrender. The fireworks outside echoed the explosions inside me, a symphony of gasps and groans that drowned out the shame whispering at the edges. We didn't speak after, just collapsed in a tangle of limbs, sweat slick and spent, the counter digging into my back like a brand. Logan's arm draped over my waist, Mason's head on my thigh, breaths sinking in the afterglow. For those stolen hours, we were whole Harlan boys unbound, secrets shared in the dark. Dawn crept in with the smell of burnt coffee, and reality knocked. Logan's phone buzzing with rig call-in, Mason muttering about a hangover. They dressed quick, avoiding eyes, Logan clapping my shoulder like nothing. Good talk, bro. Mason flashing a grin that didn't reach his gaze. I lay there till noon, staring at the ceiling fan's lazy spin, the ghost of their touch haunting my skin. That surprise on the counter, it wasn't just bodies. Cracked open the vault, spilling truths we'd buried deeper than Dad's grave. But truths like that don't stay quiet in a town like ours. They fester, they fight back, and they take no prisoners. The days blurred after that night, a fever dream wrapped in normalcy. I'd wake to Logan's truck rumbling out at dawn, Mason's boots thudding across the floorboards as he headed to the garage for smokes. Mornings in the kitchen felt profane now, the counter scrubbed clean, but I could trace the ghost outlines where elbows had braced, where hips had arched. I'd pour coffee with shaking hands, replaying the reel, Logan's gravel whisper, mine, against my ear, Mason's teeth grazing my collarbone, marking territory. Straight brothers, my ass. Or maybe they were, confused, cornered by the bottle and the blood we shared. Either way, the air between us crackled, loaded with unspoken what's next. We didn't talk about it. Not directly. Logan buried it in work, coming home late with takeout from the diner, barking orders about bills like a drill sergeant. Pay the electric this month. Alex, ain't runnin' a charity here. His eyes would flick to mine, holding a beat too long, then skitter away to the TV, some ESPN highlight reel droning about Cowboys' glory. Mason played it cooler, needling me with brotherly jabs. You look like you ain't slept. Queerbait. But his touches lingered. A hip check in the hallway that pressed too close, fingers ruffling my hair that tangled in the strands. I tested the waters, subtle as a rattlesnake. One evening, post-rain, the three of us on the porch swing, boots up on the rail, sharing a joint Mason rolled from his stash. The air smelled of wet earth and mesquite, thunder rumbling distant like a warning. That night, I started, casual, exhaling smoke rings that dissolved into the dusk. Logan tensed beside me, thigh solid against mine. Was fun. Huh? Like old times. Mason snorted, but his knee nudged mine. Old times with a twist. Little bro. Don't go gettin' mushy. Logan grunted agreement, but his hand found my nape, thumb stroking the tension not there, hidden from view. Ain't mushy. Just Harlan rules, no regrets. No regrets. Bullshit mantra, but it held for a week. Then the cracks spiderwebbed. Town gossip first. Old man Hargrove at the feed store cornered me one shift, breath like onions, muttering about Harlan boys actin' peculiar, after spotting Mason and me laughing too close at the gas station. "Your daddy'd roll in his grave," he spat, and I laughed it off, but it lodged like a bone in my throat. Logan overheard later, slamming his fist on our counter hard enough to rattle the salt shaker. "Ignore that horseshit, Alex. We handle our own." But handling it meant more nights like the first. Whiskey-fueled, inevitable. Mason cornered me in the shower once, steam fogging the glass, his body sliding in behind mine like it belonged. "Missed this," he murmured, hands soaping my chest, water cascading over us in forgiveness. Logan joined later that week, after a rig blowout left him bruised and brooding, pulling me into his bed with a fierceness that bordered on punishment. "You're ours," he'd growl, pinning my wrists, but his eyes begged, "Don't leave, don't break." Sandwiched between them one midnight, their bodies a vice of muscle and heat, I felt invincible. Loved. The kitchen counter became our altar, quickie stolen when Logan thought Mason was out, or full rituals when the house emptied, the three of us mapping each other like uncharted rigs. It was romantic, in a twisted, red dirt way, poems unspoken in the arch of a back, sonnets in the bite of teeth. But drama simmered beneath, Texas tea bubbling up. Logan's ex, Becca from the church choir, started sniffing around, dropping by with casseroles and sidelong glances at how Mason and I moved in sync. "Y'all seem tight-knit," she'd say, saccharine smile cracking at the edges. Mason laughed it off, but I saw the flicker. Jealousy? Fear? Logan shut it down, proposing to her over Sunday pot roast, ring from his rig bonus glinting like a handcuff. "Gotta settle down sometime," he told us later, voice flat, avoiding the counter where I confronted him that night, rain lashing the windows like judgment. "What the hell, Logan?" After everything, he paced the living room, flannel untucked, looking every inch the prodigal son. "This? Us? A phase, Alex. Brotherly love gone sideways. But Becca, she's real. Church real. Dad'd approve." His words gutted me, sharper than any knife. Phase? I'd sketched his jawline 100 times, dreamed his calluses on my skin. Mason, eavesdropping from the hall, exploded in later, shoving Logan against the wall. "You lying sack. You feel it same as me." Fists flew, brother on brother, my shouts drowned in the thunder. I pulled them apart, blood on Mason's lip, Logan's knuckles split, both staring at me like I held the answers. The betrayal stung deepest from Logan, the anchor, the one who'd always protected. He avoided us after, sleeping on the couch, leaving before dawn. Mason clung harder, dragging me to his truck for drives down back roads, windows down, radio blasting Willie Nelson ballads about mamas and outlaws. He's scared, Alex, of losing the ranch, the name. But I ain't. I love you, both of ya, twisted as that is. His confession, parked under a cottonwood by the dry riverbed, came with a kiss that tasted of freedom, his hands urgent in the cab's shadows. We made love there, truck rocking like a cradle, stars witnessing what the town couldn't. But secrets in Lubbock, they spread faster than wildfire. Aunt Rita called one afternoon, voice shrill over the line, "Heard whispers 'bout you boys. Something unnatural. Church folk talkin'." I hung up, heart pounding, and drove to the bar where Mason slung drinks. He was behind the counter, charming a table of roughnecks, but his eyes lit when I slid onto a stool. 2 fingers of Jack, I said, and he poured 3, our fingers brushing electric. Logan's comin' tonight, he warned, nodding to the door. Sure enough, Logan stormed in an hour later, face thunderous, Becca trailing like a shadow. We need to talk. Now. The back alley reeked of dumpsters and diesel, rain-slick gravel crunching under our boots. Logan rounded on us, Becca hovering at the edge, arms crossed. This shit ends tonight. I told her. Framed it like a joke. Brothers roughhousin'. But she's watchin'. And the town. Christ. Alex, you gotta stop looking at us like that. Like what? Like he was my son? Mason stepped forward, chin jutted. You proposed to her to shut us up, didn't ya? Coward. Logan's fist connected with Mason's jaw, a crack like lightning, and Becca screamed. Logan Harlan. What in God's name? Chaos erupted, fists, shouts, me shoving between them as headlights swept the alley from passing rigs. Becca fled to her car, tires squealing, tears streaking her mascara. Logan slumped against the wall, defeated. I love y'all. More'n I should. But this, it'll destroy us. Mason spat blood, wiping his mouth. Then let it. Better ashes than chains. I stood there, drenched, the rain washing away the illusion. Our surprise on the counter? It wasn't a beginning. It was the fuse. Word got out piecemeal. Becca blabbed to her prayer circle, whispers morphing into roars. Harlan boys queer as a $3 bill, threats scrawled on our fence, Bible verses about Sodom. Mason laughed them off, spray painting retorts. But Logan's proposal crumbled. Becca bolted, family disowning him for bringin' shame. He drank harder, rig shifts doubling, coming home hollow-eyed. We tried talking, 3 of us at the table, cards untouched, voices raw. I can't lose this, Logan pleaded, gesturing to the house, the land. It's all we got left of them. Mason reached for his hand, but Logan recoiled. Don't. Please. The tension coiled, a spring ready to snap. I buried it in escape plans, applications to Austin art schools, sketches of cityscapes that didn't choke on dust. Mason tagged along to interviews, his presence a shield, but Logan's absence carved holes. One night, after a blowout where Mason accused him of betrayal, "You're choosing ghosts over us." Logan vanished. Truck gone at midnight. A note on the counter. Gone back to the rig early. Sort your shit, boys. Love, L. He didn't come back for 2 weeks. Mason unraveled, picking fights at bars, coming home with split lips and my name on his breath. He's gone for good, Alex. Leaving us to rot. I held him on the couch, his body trembling against mine, whispers turning to touches that were desperate, devouring. We don't need him, Mason lied, even as his eyes searched the door. But I did. We all did. The Harlan knot, frayed but unbroken. When Logan returned, it was storm-tossed, truck mud-splattered, his duffel hitting the floor like a gauntlet. I talked to a preacher, he said, voice steady but eyes haunted. Said it's a test. From God, from Dad. But I can't. I won't fight it no more. Mason scoffed, arms crossed, but I saw the crack, hope flickering. Logan stepped closer, hand cupping my jaw, thumb tracing my lip. Forgive me, little bro, for running to... Then Mason, pulling him into a crush of bodies that spilled us back to the counter, the site of our original sin. But forgiveness is a fragile truce. And in Texas, truces break bloody. Fall crept in like a thief, leaves turning brittle gold on the mesquites, the air sharpening with the promise of winter's bite. Our fragile peace held, stitched with late-night confessions and mornings tangled in sheets, but the town pressed in, a vice of judgmental stares and hushed pews. Church on Sundays became a battlefield, Logan dragging us for appearances, his hand gripping the Bible like a lifeline, while Mason and I slouched in the back, knees brushing under the hymnal. Pastor Hale's sermons shifted, fire and brimstone barbs about sins of the flesh that felt aimed square at our ribs. The devil whispers sweet nothings to the weak, he'd thunder, eyes lingering on our pew. Logan squeezed my thigh, a silent vow, but sweat beaded on his brow. Work turned toxic. At the feed store, customers crossed the aisle to avoid me, whispers trailing like smoke. Harlan's the one, prancin' round with his brothers. Mr. Jenkins, my boss, pulled me aside one dust-choked afternoon, ledger in hand. Heard things, son. Can't have scandal round here. You're let go 2 weeks' pay. Call it severance. I nodded numb, pocketing the check. The weight of Dad's old pocket watch, my only inheritance, dragging in my jeans. Mason fared worse. The bar owner booted him mid-shift, citing disturbances. Code for the brawl he'd started when a drunk rancher sneered, "Bet you take it from both." Ferry. Logan tried shielding us, burning rig money on groceries and gas, but his own crew turned. Faggot Harlan scrawled on his locker, tools sabotaged, whispers from the foreman about family values. He came home one night, knuckles raw from punching steel, collapsing at the table with a bottle of Jack. They know. Alex. Whole damn camp. Offered me a transfer to Odessa. Take it or leave. His voice cracked, the unbreakable brother fracturing. Mason paced, fury radiating. Take it? And what? Abandon us again? Fuck that. I knelt before Logan, hands on his knees, echoing the counter's intimacy. We go together. Austin art scene, jobs that don't give a damn. Start over. The idea ignited something. A spark in Logan's eyes, a grin cracking Mason's scowl. We plotted like outlaws. Sell the house, pool the cash, hit the road before Thanksgiving. Nights blurred into fevered planning sessions that devolved into worship. Bodies entwined on the living room rug. The counter. Logan's bed where Dad's ghost loomed in the faded quilt. It was romantic then, truly. Logan's poetry in the slow drag of his lips down my spine. Mason's emotion in the way he'd hold my face after, murmuring, "You're our heart, Alex. Don't forget." Vulnerability seeped in. Logan admitting boyhood crushes on rodeo stars. Mason confessing the tattoo hid a lover's initials from a Juarez fling. We were human, flawed, loving fierce in the face of fire. But betrayal brews in the quiet hours. It hit during a rare day off. All three of us at the county fair, cotton candy air and Ferris wheel lights, a slice of Americana we'd reclaim. Mason dared us to the ring toss, his laugh booming as he won me a stuffed armadillo. Logan's arm slung casual over my shoulders. Normal, almost. Until we bumped into Ty Wheeler, Logan's old rig buddy, beer in hand, face twisting into a leer. Well, if it ain't the Lovebirds. Heard you three been experimentin', his buddies hooted, but Ty stepped close, breath sour. Logan's always been the straight arrow. What did you do, boys? Slip him a roofie? Mason lunged, But Logan held him back, face ashen. Walk away, Ty. Ain't your business. But Ty didn't. He spat facts we'd buried. Overheard Becca's circle. Pieced the puzzle from Logan's absences. Whole town's Logan. Your daddy'd disown ya thrice over. The words landed like blows. And as the crowd swelled, Logan shoved Ty hard, scattering beers. Chaos, shouts, security hauling us out, Mason cursing a blue streak. In the parking lot, under sodium lamps buzzing like accusations, Logan exploded. This is what I meant. We're poison, ruinin' everything. Mason whirled on him. No, you are. Runnin' scared every time it gets real. Fists clenched. But it was words that cut. Mason hurled Logan's proposal to Becca like a grenade. You were gonna marry that prude to bury us. Admit it. Logan's denial crumbled. Confession spilling. I did. I thought it'd fix me. Make me normal. For y'all. For the ranch. Betrayal. Raw and rotting. Hit me like vertigo. The brother who'd pinned me to the counter, whispering ownership, had plotted escape. You used us. I choked, voice small in the night. To feel less alone. Then bailed. Logan reached, desperate. Alex. No, I love. But Mason shoved him back. Save it. We're done playing your games. The drive home was silence, thicker than the dust devils swirling in our wake. That night, no touches, no warmth, just 3 bodies in separate rooms. The house a tomb. The fracture deepened. Mason and I clung, our love a defiant flame, nights in his bed, his body a bulwark against the storm, whispers of just us turning to plans without Logan. Austin for 2. I'd sketch galleries. He'd bartend in dive bars that flew rainbow flags. Logan withdrew, haunting the house like a specter, cooking breakfasts we ate in shifts, his eyes pleading forgiveness he didn't voice. I'm tryin', he'd mutter, passing the salt, fingers brushing mine accidental. But trust, shattered glass, sharp underfoot. High tide came mid-October, harvest moon fat and mocking. Aunt Rita descended, unannounced, her station wagon kicking gravel as she hauled in pies and pamphlets. Pray the gay away retreats, her Baptist armor gleaming. Your mama'd weep, she declared over coffee, as boring into us. Logan sat stone-faced, Mason smirking defiance, me sketching under the table to keep sane. She cornered him alone later, in the kitchen, our kitchen voices rising like dough. You're the head, Logan. Fix this abomination, for it spreads. His reply, a low rumble, ain't nothin' to fix, Rita. It's family. She left in a huff, tires spinning, but her poison lingered. Whispers reached the bank. Foreclosure notices piled up, the ranch slipping through greased fingers. Logan worked doubles, body breaking, while Mason and I scouted rentals online, our touches turning frantic, as if to outrun the end. He'll come around, Mason lied one dawn, his head on my chest, but doubt shadowed his eyes. Then the call, Logan's foreman, voice grave. Accident on the rig blowout. He's hurt bad. Odessa ER. Time fractured. Mason and I tore across the flats. Truck eating miles. My sketches forgotten in the glove box. Hospital lights glared sterile. Beeps a dirge. Logan in a bed. Leg in traction. Face pale but alive. Tubes snaking like accusations. Fell from the catwalk, he rasped, gripping my hand. Slipped thinkin' 'bout y'all. Mason paced, fury melting to tears. Idiot. We need you. In that room. Monitors humming. Walls closed in. Truth distilled. Logan pulled us close. One-armed embrace awkward but fierce. I betrayed us. Feared losin' the name more'n I loved you. But seein' stars from that fall? Only y'all up there. Forgiveness? Not yet. But a bridge shaky. Rain slick. We stayed till dawn. Hands linked under the sheet. The three of us a not reforming. Discharge brought reckoning. House sold in a fire sale to some developer. Proceeds barely covering debts. We packed in a whirlwind. Logan's tools. Mason's rodeo buckle. My sketchpad swollen with us. Pencil strokes of tangled limbs. Eyes meeting in lamplight. Last night in the kitchen. Counter wiped one final time. We toasted with the last of Dad's whiskey. To new rigs, Logan said. Clinking glasses. Mason grinned. To brothers who don't run. My turn. To love that haunts and heals. Austin waited. 300 miles east. A promised land of concrete canyons and acceptance. But roads twist. And ours? It veered into deeper drama, where romance met its match in reality's roar. Austin hit like a revelation. 6 streets neon pulse. Coffee shops spilling onto sidewalks where rainbow flags snapped in the breeze. Air thick with barbecue smoke and possibility. We rented a shotgun house in East Austin, peeling turquoise paint and a porch swing that creaked under our weight. The kind of place where neighbors waved without prying. Logan limped on his cast. Job hunting at construction sites. Real work, not that rig bullshit. While Mason charmed his way into a hipster bar gig, slinging craft IPAs to tattooed crowds who didn't bat an eye at his ink or our linked arms. Me, I waitressed at a diner off Congress, sketching on napkins between orders, dreaming of gallery walls. The city swallowed our secrets, spat back freedom. Mornings, coffee black as midnight, Logan's hand on my hip as he poured, Mason stealing sips with a wink. Afternoons, walks along Lady Bird Lake, paddleboards slicing water like our doubts once had, laughter echoing off the Bat Bridge. Nights, hours, bodies rediscovering in the queen bed we'd crammed into the tiny bedroom. Logan's dominance softening to reverence. Mason's wildness tempered by Logan's steady rhythm. It was romantic as hell. Candlelit tacos from the truck down the block. Logan's gravel serenades to old cash tunes. Mason's impulsive road trips to hill country wineries where we'd picnic under live oaks. Wine staining lips before kisses did. But emotion's a double-edged blade, and ours cut deep. Logan's cast came off, scars mapping his calf like our own hidden ones. But nightmares woke him. Rig falls morphing to family graves. Dad's voice thundering judgment. He'd hate this, he'd mutter at 3 a.m. My arms his anchor. Mason, thriving in the chaos, masked his cracks with bravado. But bar fights followed, jealous patrons mistaking our trio for threat. Back off. They're mine. He'd snarl, knuckles flying, coming home bruised to our scoldings and salves. Me, the city amplified my art, galleries scouting my raw, familial sketches, but imposter syndrome gnawed. Was this love, or just escape? Conflict brewed slow, then volcanic. Logan's new crew, good old boys transplanted from Houston, started side-eyeing our setup. You 3 live-in bachelors? Cute. One drawled at a site barbecue, beer foam flecking his mustache. Logan laughed it off, but tension coiled. Mason pushed back harder, flaunting us, hands on waists at the bar, Logan's name on his lips during last call. My men, he'd say, proud as a peacock. but it invited wolves. One night, post-shift, 3 meatheads cornered him in the alley. Ty Wheeler's echoes, calling him Harlan Whore. Mason fought dirty, broke a nose, but took a shiv to the side shallow. But stitches and a hospital bill that drained our pot. I paced the ER waiting room, Logan's arm heavy around me, his whisper fierce. This is on me, dragging us here half-cocked. No, I wanted to say, it's on the world that hates what we are. But guilt festered, and when Mason emerged, bandaged and cocky, just a scratch, darlin', the blame game ignited. Logan accused Mason of recklessness. Pickin' fights to prove something? We're past that shit. Mason fired back. You're the one playing straight at work, hiding us like a dirty secret. I mediated. Voice raw. Stop, we're in this. But the seed planted. Logan's glances at job ads for Dallas firms. Better pay. Less drama. Betrayal's second strike came subtle. A whisper in the wind. I landed a gallery show, small, but mine. Brothers in ink, portraits of us veiled in metaphor. Logan's jaw shadowed by rigs, Mason's eyes wild as untamed horses. Opening night, fairy lights strung in a converted warehouse, champagne fizzing, critics murmuring approval. Logan and Mason flanked me, handsome in button-downs, pride swelling my chest. But across the room, a face from Lubbock, Aunt Rita, uninvited, lips pursed like lemons, pamphlet clutched. Perverse, she hissed when cornered, twistin' family into filth. Logan stepped up, voice steel. Leave, Rita. This ain't your circus. She did, but not before dropping the bomb. Your mama's will, contested it. House sale invalid. Bloodkin gets half. If you repent. Lies, half-truths, didn't matter. It unearthed the ghosts. Logan stormed out mid-party. Mason chasing, me trailing apologies to patrons. On the hike home, under street lamps casting long shadows, accusations flew. You called her, Mason roared at Logan. To what broker piece on your terms? Logan denied, but his phone buzzed. Unknown number, Lubbock area. It's nothin', but we saw the screen. Rita, let's talk. The fight that followed was cataclysmic. Words weapons sharper than fists. Mason hurled Logan's phone into the gutter, shattering glass and trust. Always running back to normalcy, betraying us for a pat on the head. Logan shoved him, grief twisting his face. I'm trying to save us, the money, the future. You think sketches pay forever? Me? Caught in the crossfire. Voice breaking. I love you both. Why's that not enough? They turned on me then. Twin storms. Logan blaming my art bullshit for the exposure. Mason my soft heart for letting Rita in. We scattered, Logan to a motel. Mason crashing at the bar. Me alone in our bed. Sheets cold as betrayal's bite. Days bled into silence. Texts unread. The house echoing empty. I wandered Austin's veins, Zilker Park's lagoons, Barton Springs' chill embrace, sketching strangers to fill the void. Mason showed first, contrite, flowers wilted from the market. I overreacted. Logan scared, same as us. We made love slow, reclaiming, but his eyes darted to the door. Logan returned a week later, duffel in hand, face haggard from motel sheets. Talked to a lawyer, Rita's bluffin', Will's ironclad. But I been thinkin', maybe Dallas for me. Stabilize, send money. The proposal hung, a guillotine. Mason exploded anew. Abandonment, round 2. Logan pleaded, not leavin', just space. To breathe without breaking, I saw it then, the chasm. Logan's love tethered to legacy, Mason's to fire, mine the bridge buckling. Choose, I whispered, tears hot. Logan stayed, but the damage scarred, touches tentative, nights separate. Winter bit hard, holiday lights mocking our fracture. Christmas Eve, snow dusting palms like irony. We tried salvaging tree from a lot, strung with dollar store ornaments. Logan's ribs from a food truck. But under the glow, vulnerability cracked open. Mason confessed a bar hookup. Lonely, Alex. Needed to feel wanted. Logan's eyes darkened, but he owned his. Flirted with a coworker. Testin' if straight still fits. Betrayals traded like cards. Each cut deeper. Yet in the wreckage, honesty bloomed. We're messed up, I said, laughing through sobs. But human. New Year's brought the peak. A party at Mason's bar. Confetti cannons and resolutions shouted over bass. We danced. 3 bodies sinking in the throng. Sweat and strobe lights blurring lines. But Ty Wheeler's ghost manifested. A brawl erupted. Out-of-towners slinging slurs. Incest freaks. Fists flying anew. Logan took a bottle to the temple. Blood sheening his brow. Mason a kick to the ribs reopening his scar. I fought dirty. Nails and knees. Till cops hauled the lot. In the squad car, zip-tied and bleeding, Logan's hand found mine across the divide. Worth it, he rasped. Mason nodded, grinning through split lip. Harlan strong. Bail bonds and bruises later. Back in our bed. Wounds tended with neosporin and whispers. The climax crested, not violence, but catharsis. I choose us, Logan vowed, tracing my tattoo. A Lone Star Mason inked post-Austin. No more runnin', Mason echoed. Lips on Logan's scar. Fire and all. Romance reignited. Emotional as a country dirge. Our bodies a testament. Slow, sacred. On the living room floor where dawn painted us gold. But humanity's arc bends slow. And ours? Curved toward light. Fractured but fierce. Spring unfurled in Austin like a reluctant pardon. Bluebonnets carpeting the medians. Air sweet with jasmine and redemption's faint tang. The brawl faded to legend at Mason's bar. Patrons toasting the Harlan trio with shots of mezcal. Our notoriety a badge now, not a brand. Logan's crew warmed. One burly foreman slapping his back. Heard you scrapped for family respect. He climbed foreman himself, overseeing builds that shaped the skyline. Coming home dust-caked and beaming. Blueprints spread on our kitchen table like love letters. Mason tamed his tempests, channeling fire into mixology classes, crafting cocktails named after us. Logan's anchor, smoky and strong. Alex's whisper, light and layered. My gallery show sold out. Critics hailing the visceral brotherhood. Invitations piling for bigger spaces in Marfa, Santa Fe. We healed deliberate, scars mapping our map. Therapy. Group sessions in a sunlit office off Lavaca. Circle of chairs holding our truths. Logan's legacy guilt. Mason's abandonment rage. My fear of fracture. You're allowed to love messy, the counselor drawled, Texan drawl softening edges. We laughed, cried, held hands under folding chairs, emerging lighter, lines blurring from shame to strength. Dates became ritual. Picnics at Mount Bonnell. City sprawled below like conquered doubt. Drives to Lockhart for brisket. Logan's hand on my thigh. Mason's playlist of Springsteen anthems about working-class hearts. Yet drama lingered. a shadow puppeteer. Rita resurfaced via certified letter, will contest dropped. But a codicil. Repent, or forfeit mama's locket. The heirloom, gold chain with dad's initials, symbol of roots we'd severed. Logan agonized, pacing our porch swing till boards groaned. It's all we got left of her. Mason scoffed. Poison apple. Let it rot. But I saw the pull, and in a midnight vulnerability surge, drove back to Lubbock alone, truck eating miles under harvest moon's judgmental gaze. The ranch, our ranch, stood gutted, developer skeletons rising where swing sets once swung. Rita waited on the stoop, frielier than memory, eyes wary but wet. Boy, she started, but I cut in, woman to woman, no sermons. The locket, for peace. She handed it over, trembling, then cracked. Saw y'all in the paper, fightin' for each other. Mohammed. She'd understand. Maybe. Confession spilled. Her own hidden regrets. A brother lost to secrets in the 70s. Love ain't sin if it's honest. I hugged her, brief and bone deep, driving back with the chain warm in my pocket. A talisman traded for truce. Logan wept when I gave it him, chain pooling in his palm like liquid gold. You went back, for us? Mason pulled me close, murmuring thanks into my hair. That night, the counter, echo of origins, became sacrament. Bodies slow, reverent, Logan's lips tracing the locket's path down my chest. Mason's hands weaving us eternal. Haunts me still, Logan whispered after, echoing the memory that birthed us, but in the best way. Summer peaked in humanity's quiet grace. My Marfa show beckoned, a desert gallery under vast skies, and we caravanned, truck loaded with frames, hearts fuller. Installation day, dust devils dancing. Logan hammered rails. Mason charmed the curator, me signing prints with our initials intertwined. Opening night, critics from New York, locals in boots, applause rippling like prairie wind. A buyer, a silver-haired collector, purchased the centerpiece. Entwined, 3 figures shadowed in light, titled for the counter's ghost. Reminds me of my own boys, he confided. Lost one to AIDS in '92. Hold tight, this is rare. We did. Back in Austin. Life layered. Logan's promotion to site manager. Mason's pop-up bar catching fire, literally. One flambe mishap. My commissions flowing, portraits of queer families. Resilient as cacti. Conflicts, petty now, Logan's snoring wars, Mason's late nights, but resolved in laughter, in touches that spoke volumes. Betrayal's echo, forgiven, folded into our narrative like creases in a well-loved map. One August Eve, anniversary of the surprise, counter or not, we drove to the lake, blankets and a cooler of Shiner Bock. Fireflies blinked like firework remnants, water lapping gentle. Logan spread the blanket, Mason uncorked wine, me sketching their profiles against the sunset, pinks and oranges bleeding like healed wounds. To haunts, Logan toasted, arm around Mason's waist, my head on his shoulder. And homes, Mason clinked, to brothers who surprise and stay. I smiled, pencil pausing. To love that endures. We made love there, under stars indifferent to labels. Bodies a symphony of give and take. Logan's strength yielding to Mason's rhythm. My hands bridging, voices mingling in gasps that were prayers. No rush, no shame, just us, raw and romantic, human in our hunger. Dawn found us tangled, dew-kissed, the world waking to our quiet joy. Years later, the memory still haunts, not as specter, but guardian. The Harlan boys, once fractured by dust and doctrine, now whole in the heart of America. A house with a garden Logan tends, Mason's bar thriving, my studio walls alive with stories. We host Thanksgivings for strays, queer kids from the sticks, elders with tales like Rita's, tables groaning under turkey and truths. Logan proposes, not to Becca's ghost, but to us, rings simple, silver bands etched with stars, vowing in a backyard ceremony under Texas sky, Pastor Hale long forgotten. It's not perfect, arguments flare, doubts whisper on bad days, but it's human. Emotional depths plumbed, romantic fires banked but burning, dramatic arcs bent toward light. The counter? We laugh about it now. A scarred oak island in our Austin kitchen. Site of meals and mischief. Best surprise ever. Mason quips. Logan rolling eyes but pulling us close. And me? I sketch on, capturing the haunt in every line. Brothers bound, not by blood alone, but by choice. In America's vast canvas, flawed, fierce, we paint our happily ever after, one stroke at a time.